Welcome back to Etienne's Place. This is David Etienne. For the past couple of presentations, we have been looking at the all important personal financial planning, the all important topic of personal financial planning. Up to our last presentation, we had looked at the preparation of one's personal financial statement. We went through the components. We also pointed out that even if you're not required to prepare such a document for a bank or other lending institution, it is always wise and a very good thing to go ahead and prepare this document so you can be aware from time to time exactly what is referred to as your net worth, which we indicated back then would have been a comparison between all your assets, things that you own, and all of your debts, your liabilities, etc., etc. And the difference between those two numbers would give you your net worth. And hopefully, your assets are greater in value than your liabilities, and therefore you would have a positive net worth. Okay, today we move on to what we refer to as career planning. Career planning. Now, it is a fact that a number of persons do not necessarily sit and seriously think through career planning. Quite often, a person will go to school, get a degree in some area that they think they want, they enjoy, and then end up in a job and then down the road decide, I don't think this is quite what I want for my working life. Others may have made the right decision initially, but for whatever reason, later on in life, decide, you know what, I think I would like a career change for one of many reasons. The bottom line, however, is that career planning is an integral component in the whole scope of personal financial planning. It is evident because your career is really the root of the earning power that is going to define and to color your financial planning going forward and all its components. So let's move quickly today into looking at career planning. Now, a number of things that we need to consider are self-evident, but although self-evident, they are quite often overlooked. So what I first want to look at are some of the considerations in pursuing a job. I said before, some are very obvious, some will come naturally to you, some will have to, be thought about in a more careful manner. Obviously, your skill level and your skill and ability will be very integral, very important in your decision as to what career path I wish to pursue. Excuse me. Work experience is another thing because a number of persons would have gone to high school, gone to college, or at some point in the process would have had some work experience. Now, if you had gone to high school and then took a year or two before going on to college, you would have had a job, have some experience, and so have a basis on which to determine, I think I am suited for job A or job B given my past work experience. So skills and ability, your work experience, and of course, once you have gone to college, you have that degree, etc. Then you talk about your education level. So those are some of the things we're looking at that should inform the things that you wish to consider in pursuing a job. Now, another component that sometimes is overlooked, but very, very important, is your health. Your health. The type of job that you would wish to consider is going to be heavily influenced by your health. Is it a job that requires a lot of walking, lifting? Is it a job that will require to be traveling on the road? All these things, are key if in considering your job. So your health is a factor that needs to be considered. Financial position also is another thing. There are times when a job opportunity may offer lucrative future benefits. However, it may take a time for you to work yourself up to that level. If you're contemplating such a job because of its future prospects, how able are you here and now today to manage your affairs, to pay your bills until that time when you start to earn the great benefits of this job? So your current financial position will determine whether or not, yes, I can take this job which is not paying me a lot, but because of the potential for growth for future earnings, then I'll stick with it. But can I manage now while I wait? Okay. Um, Career goal is super important because at the end of the day, your career goal ought to inform the direction that you take. You don't want to end up in a job where, yes, it may be financially rewarding, but it is frustrating because that's not really what you enjoy doing. And so you're more looking for the end of each work day than the commencement of a work morning. All right. So your career goal, very, very important. And of course, your personal interest. What are you interested in? Now, when we look at career planning, when we look at career planning, we want to look at some of what I refer to as the macro considerations. Macro considerations. The first I would like to look at is your job setting. Job setting. Are you one who are you one who is comfortable in what we call large industrial settings? Or are you more inclined to be comfortable and to find your niche in a small business? Large industrial versus small business. You may be one who gravitate towards government type agencies, all right, or non-profit. Next thing is that you may think that the urban setting is my kind of thing. Or you may say, oh no, I think I'm more for the rural setting. So all these things are worthwhile considering. They are key items to take into the total equation of career planning. Because even if at the beginning it seemed as if they were insignificant, they can become deal breakers down the road because because it is possible that without proper consideration, you will end up with a set of realities that do not fit into really what your preferences are. So that is what we're looking at. The job setting, large or small, government or private. Do you want to be in a rural area? Do you want to be in urban? Now, here comes a very, very key component to consider. Work relations. Now, when I talk about work relations, pay special attention to this one. In whatever work setting you find yourself, you're going to be working either predominantly with people or predominantly with data. Some people say data, or you're going to be working predominantly with things. Things. So it's going to be people, data, or things. Some of us are very personable. And so working with people brings joy. We look forward to getting up each morning, going to the job to interact with our co-workers because we like that dynamic environment where people interact and share ideas, share thoughts. If that is your thing, go for it. Others are introverts, and so they say, oh, that's not my thing. And so those persons are more inclined to want to work with data. They'll sit at a computer and they'll crunch numbers all day. They'll sit at a computer and write codes for computer programs. They will sit at a computer working on financial statements, financial reports, etc. So those persons are more inclined and they gravitate more to working with data, information. Okay. Yes, there's some level of interaction with of course with people, but that is minimal, right? maybe 6 of that 8 hour day spent looking at coding or numbers. If that's your thing, then that is what you should be leaning to. And then there are those who enjoy working with things. They are hands on. They are hands on. They want to be manufacturing a piece of furniture. They want to be working on an engine. They want to. So these persons are more in the industrial type of activities. So again, very, very, very important. Very important. So if you're one that gravitates toward a people interaction kind of workplace, or if you more enjoy sitting at a portal and crunching out numbers and coding, etc. Or if you're better off working with your hands, building things, creating tangible things, then of course, those are key elements, key considerations that should go into your career planning. Again, that's a direct follow-up from this. Then we have the whole aspect of group or individuals. Some persons like the group setting. We collaborate with teams, with project teams. We bounce ideas off each other. We brainstorm. Others like to just sit and mull over things themselves, come up with solutions, and work as a lonesome cowboy, so to speak. Very, very, very important. Now, there's a publication known as the Occupational Outlook Handbook, OOH, Occupational Outlook Handbook. It's a publication that has almost, not all, but almost all the different jobs in the various industries, and it gives quite a bit of information, very, very useful information and statistics that will guide the person who is planning a career entry into your part of career, or contemplating maybe a shift, a change in career. The guide, the handbook, give information on training and education requirement for various jobs, various assignments. It talks about the earnings level of different occupations at different levels. It talks about the job prospects, the prospects for improvement, for advancement. It speaks of the type of activity that goes on in that particular discipline, and it also speaks about the working conditions. So that's very important for you to consider looking into. It's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook, referred as the OOH, and that will give you a lot of depth, a lot of information that will guide you in your career planning. Um, Now, when we're considering a career path, there are several things that comes to mind and are worthwhile focusing on, because they will have significant implications on your future job prospects in terms of growth, development, personal satisfaction, self-actualization, etc., etc., etc. And also will dovetail into your overall personal financial planning. Okay? Of course, people always say salary, salary, salary. And yes, that is a key thing. Because for most of us, why we get up each morning and head out to a job is because we need to go and earn the mighty dollar. Okay, so salary is a key thing. The issue of fringe benefits, very, very important, and something that we would need to look at. And I'm going to spend a little more time, maybe a few minutes from now, looking at that. But salary is one thing, fringe benefits is another thing. We have also what we call non-taxable compensation. There are, and some, what I'm going through are some of the things that you'd want to consider as the optional offerings of a job. Excuse me. Some jobs will offer what we call staff loans, and these staff loans are usually low interest loans. They're given preferential interest rates to staff as opposed to you going to the bank to get a loan. So that's very important too. Um, and we have also stock options. Stock option is a big thing. Yes, admittedly, it is the larger companies who are able to provide, and usually it is more the executive levels who benefit from the stock option. But in a very basic sense, all that happens is that the company that you're working with is giving you an opportunity to be able to acquire some of the shares or stock of that company. And so you have an option, you're given the opportunity to benefit from it. And if you should accept the benefit, then there comes a time when you are allowed to, as it were, the term is exercise the option. So you may say, okay, I'm exercising my option by taking my 10, 15, 20 shares and I'm going to sell them, whatever, to get the money. But that's another technicality we won't go into. But it's one of those things that comes with a job. So earnings, fringe benefits, low interest loans, stock options. These are various things that we want to look at. Now, let me just quickly go back to what I call fringe benefits. And bear in mind, when you are taking on an assignment, there will be your stated salary, whether they are fixed salary or hourly rate, doesn't matter. There's your salary, and then there is what they call fringe benefits. Quite often, not in all cases, but quite often, it is best for you to go for salary plus fringe benefits as opposed to asking for a larger salary to cover what would normally be fringe benefits. Why? Or I should say, a more tangible example. If you're offered a job that pays you $20,000, say $30,000 per annum per year, and in addition to that, you'll be given an additional 20,000 worth of fringe benefits. It means that your overall package will be 50,000. Salary 30, fringe benefits to the value of 20. So you could choose to have salary 30, fringe benefits of 20, total package of 50, or zero fringe benefits by definition, but a salary package of $50,000. Not the same thing, because your $50,000 being salary will be salary, subject to income taxes, subject to, you name it, FICA, your Medicare, Social Security, all the things, okay? That's your 50,000 because that is all salary. But if you have a salary of $30,000 and fringe benefits of 20,000, you will find that whereas the 30,000 is subject to all these salary, payroll related deductions, etc., then your fringe benefits in number of instances and depending on the type and etc., could be what we call non-taxable benefits. And so you end up being in a better position overall to accept salary plus fringe as opposed to say, give me a bigger salary package to cover fringe. I hope you get where I'm going with this. So very, very important. Good. Now, I want to look at, and this is now touching a bit on taxation. I want to look at working from home. Working from home. And that the ability to work from home can be very attractive, can be very rewarding, but I need you to listen listen to me very carefully because here how the thing plays out. Prior to 2018, prior to 2018, there was a possibility for you to be an employee with a company, but by nature of your job or by some agreement between yourself and company, between yourself and employer, you could spend, let us say, 3 days of the week in office and maybe the other 2 days working from home. By virtue of the fact that you'll be working from home, then you end up operating what is referred to as a home office. Okay? So you're operating a home office. And so, yes, let us say you follow all the rules, have a designated area, not a room that you share with the baby's crib, etc., or a portion of your dining table with a computer that you push aside when it's dinner time. No, a designated space strictly put aside for office purpose. Then you would have your normal computer, printer, your shelves, your binders, etc. So it is seen as your home office. So let us say that you have satisfied those requirements. That's just a few among others. Prior to 2018, you are allowed as an employee of a company to have a home office if that's the arrangement between you and your employer, and expenses incurred in that home office were expenses that were tax deductible, meaning you could deduct them on your tax returns to the extent that those expenses were not reimbursed by your employer. So if you had a home office and you were buying print cartridges, paper, or stationery generally to carry out the company's work at home, then of course they are the company's expenses. So you buy, you hand your receipts, you make your claim, you're reimbursed. Now, to the extent that you are not reimbursed to the 100% of your expenses, you had the opportunity when you prepare your personal taxes to say, okay, of my $200 spent at my home office, my boss, my job gave me 150 reimbursement, so I'm able now to claim the other $50 on my personal tax returns. And we're going to speak briefly as to the little formula that guide us to how that deduction is calculated and applied. Well, before I do that, let's come back now to 2018 onward, because you all know by now that as of 2018 forward, a number of tax laws, tax rules have changed. And so some of the things that used to apply up to 2017 tax year, as of 2018, there were changes. The home office deduction is one such. Basically, what this is saying is this home office deduction is still available, but it is only available to those who are self-employed and operate their businesses from home. So if you're an employee of a company and you end up operating from home some of the time, whether or not by company's agreement, then your best bet is that your employer will be willing to reimburse you 100% of what you spend out of pocket at that home office, because no longer are you allowed as an employee of a company who have a home office. No longer are you allowed to take deductions on your personal tax returns for those home office expenses. The only person that is allowed to continue to do this is an individual who is self-employed. You're working for yourself. And even to the extent that you provide your services to an organization, you're not engaged as an employee, but as an independent contractor. So if you're a consultant and you're consulting for ABC firm, fine. But you're a contractor, you're an independent person to the company, so you're operating from home. Under that umbrella, you're now able and you're allowed to do your home office deduction. Fine. Now, the home office deduction is one that, again, it is subject to some level of abuse, and so one needs to adhere very strictly to that formula. We'll not go into a lot of details here because we're talking about career planning overall. But later on, when we get back into our tax presentations and bringing ourselves up to speed, then we'll go into the details as we had done last year and before. We'll go into the details of the formula, the computations, and the conditions under which we can or we can't, so that we keep on the straight and narrow. But also point out to you that when it comes to career planning, some persons may decide that I want to just operate from home as an independent contractor because that carries some level of benefit, and it's something that is worthwhile considering, right? And in recent times, a lot more individuals have been going into into self-employment. Can the truth be told, yes, self-employment may not necessarily give you the highest salary as you'd have gotten from corporate or from being employed elsewhere. But you and I know that the other benefits to be derived from self-employment, man, is I would say priceless. That's the term that I would use in my case. Is priceless, very much so, priceless. So it's something that is worthwhile considering. Now, in addition to the home office deduction of a self-employed person, there's also the other obvious benefits as you not having to commute. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, commuting. Because that traffic on the road, you spend 2 hours to and fro, and it's just frustrating. It's a waste of time. It is so counterproductive, etc. And it's not good for your health, right? Not good for your health. And unfortunately, you cannot stop on the highway and walk and stretch to get your circulation back, etc. So all of that is crazy. Again, if you're home and you're working from your home office, then you can quickly take a 5 minutes and run into the kitchen, get yourself a snack and return, avoiding you having to be on the road eating what is in most instances unhealthy food and spending a lot of money for it too. Not to mention for persons who are parents, well, young kids that are not yet gone off to school, then you can avert having to incur these childcare expenses, because if you're out working, then you have to have someone coming to take care of baby boy, baby girl, and so you'd have been able to avoid these childcare expenses. So a lot of those things, are good and they are beneficial and they are worthwhile considering when if and when you're contemplating self-employment as a career option. Of course, again, as I said, we'll get into detail, but one of the other things to consider is that once you go self-employment, then two of the obvious downside to it, I guess everything's like that. There's on the one hand what we refer to as the employer FICA contribution, because you remember that when you have Social Security and Medicare taken from your salary, by law, your employer is required to match those numbers. So if your FICA, two components together, FICA amounts to $20, then your employer is going to add another 20, and so you have $40 going into your FICA account, so to speak. If you're self-employed, then you are the employer and the employee, and therefore nobody is there to contribute a matching. But it will have to be paid. So it means therefore you'll have to pay both the employee and the employer portion of FICA. Yes, as I said, it's money out of your pocket here and now, but it still goes towards your social security account, etc. down the road for when those retirement years should creep on. That's one of the downside. The other things when it comes to insurance, health insurance, very, 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 very critical, because we know these days insurance is a very costly component for any person, any individual. Now, when you are an employee, you benefit what we refer to as a group rate. So if company X is taking out insurance on behalf of its staff, and the staff complement is 300, 400 strong, then of course this company is going to get a group rate that is significantly less than the rate that you or I will get as an individual applying for insurance. Okay, so like everything else, there's no all pros or all cons. It's a balancing act. And so, in making your career decision, you need to take all that we have discussed into consideration. Okay. And the earlier you can do that, the better, because you're able, therefore, to carve out your plan as you go forward. It will instruct the kind of courses you take in college. It will instruct the kind of holiday jobs you seek, if you're still in school. It will instruct the kind of internships that you're trying, or apprenticeship, whatever it is. So think on these things to know exactly where you fall, where you sit, to know what is the best fit for you as far as your career planning is concerned. Because I said before, each of these components should be structured in such a way that they fit nicely, neatly in the overall personal financial planning activity. Okay, fine. So there again, we have covered another component of a financial plan. Before I go, I'll remind you, and I keep reminding you, that Etienne Business Solutions has launched its what I refer to as our winter seminar series. We intend to have seminars each quarter. So we're now embarking on our winter seminar. This will be held on Thursday, January 23. Thursday, January 23. And the venue is the Conyers Rockdale Library. The Conyers Rockdale Library, starting at 4 p.m. Starting at 4 p.m. And the topic for this seminar is cash flow management for the cash strapped manager. Cash flow management for the cash strapped manager. Now, although it speaks of manager, I'm inviting all to come out and benefit. Yes, some of us who are operating our own small businesses will find that this seminar will be super helpful because one of the big headache of all businesses, but more so small entities, small operators who do not have access or ready access to funding from banks, etc. We have to manage our cash so carefully so that we can keep the wheels turning. All right. So once again, come on out on January 23rd, at the Conyers Rockdale Library at 4 p.m. where Etienne Business Solutions will present its winter seminar, and it is entitled Cash Flow Management for the Cash Strapped Manager. It is a free seminar. It is a free seminar, zero cost. However, I implore you to go online at www.myebsolutions.com. www.my, E as in Edward, B as in boy, solutions.com and register. We need to know so that we can plan for those who will be in attendance. We want to ensure that we have enough handouts, enough materials, so that when you come, you can be engaged, you can be involved in our discussions and deliberations. So once again, thank you very much for being here with me at my place, Etienne's place, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming week. Bye.